Hi, people of the world! Do you know what time it is? It's music time. We are so pumped up to the jam to have you with us. I am Morgan Mitchell, and with me, as always, is Tanner Grover.
What's up, Morgan, and what's up, universe? You are indeed tuning into a podcast where two friends who love music, yet have virtually no musical acumen, take a deep dive into the vibes that really make us jive.
That's right, because if there's anything that unites us all, it's music. An audible sensation. To live without it is simply deprivation. So, we're here to hear and to share a little slice of a subject that gives us life.
Tick-tock, tick-tock. Are y'all ready to rock? Tell me, friends, what time is it on your clock?
It's music time!
Hey, you cut off the intro music. I love that.
I know, we were ready to rock out.
That song's really good.
It's such a good song. We actually just had an opportunity to chat with Ben Shepherd, who wrote that song. And super,
cool.
Super guy. But Ben, another Ben.
Ben
Medina, thank you for being here. Welcome to the It's Music Time podcast. My name is Morgan Mitchell.
I am Tanner Grover, and this is what we do. And today we are doing it with Ben Medina.
Oh, well, thank you for inviting me. I'm humbled. So thank you.
We are so stoked you're here.
Absolutely.
We're gonna jump right in. What do you think, Tanner?
We are, yeah. So, real quick intro for people who don't know: Ben Medina is an Illinois-based musician and is the newest member of the 10,000 Maniacs.
Incredible.
And we are thrilled to have you here today. We are going to jump in with a game, Ben. This game is called Music Maniac. Now we're from Maine, so we're maniacs. Right?
That's clever.
Yeah, and we have a maniac on the show, so why not play Music Maniacs? Here's how it works. We have 5 factoids for you, Ben, and we're going to present them to you, and you have to guess which Music Maniac is this pertinent to. Is it either Ozzy Osbourne or Alice Cooper?
Okay, this sounds interesting. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Here we go.
Number 1 question. Here we go, Ben. Which music maniac does not know how to read sheet music, yet can play harmonica remarkably well?
Oh, no.
Is it Ozzy Osbourne or Alice Cooper?
I'm gonna guess Alice Cooper.
Very close. Love it, Ozzy. It's Ozzy. All right, number 2.
Number 2, Ben. Which music maniac is a huge fan of the animated situation comedy The Simpsons? Is it Ozzy Osbourne or Alice Cooper?
I'm gonna guess Alice Cooper again.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
So correct. Number 3. Which music maniac claims to be a massive fan of the Australian pop star Kylie Minogue? Is it Ozzy Osbourne or Alice Cooper?
Oh man. Okay, Ozzy.
So close, it's Alice.
I'm not getting a good track record here.
Listen, you're doing great. Honestly, you're winning. It doesn't really matter. They're all maniacs.
The one that you got was worth 100,000 points, so you're well ahead.
Truly. Number 4, Tanner.
All right, which music maniac suffers from, and pardon my pronunciation, ornithophobia, also known as a fear of birds?
Oh man, I have to say Alice Cooper.
And it's not, and it's so ironic.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's ironic given Ozzy's background with winged creatures.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly why I chose what I chose.
I think Tanner stacked these questions a little bit. Let's see. Number 5. Which music maniac failed the driving test 19 times, only to finally overcome adversity and get their coveted driver's license at the ripe old age of 61? Was it Ozzy Osbourne or Alice Cooper?
That's got to be Alice.
It's Ozzy! It doesn't make any sense, man. You've won in our mind. It does. It's a bunch of mania over here. What can I say?
That
well
was
done.
a cool quiz, though. I like that.
You can't do it wrong. We're all maniacs.
Absolutely. Thank you for playing Music Maniac, Ben.
I lost, yeah.
I know. You're always a winner.
A winner for in our hearts.
Ben, the other thing we like to do is we like to illuminate our guests on what was the #1 Billboard song on their birthday. And so you blessed us with your presence on October 5th, 1975. Do you have any idea what the #1 song was on your birthday? No.
I guess no, but it probably also depends on the chart you're looking at, huh?
True.
Yeah, so it's,
very good point.
Yep, the Billboard 100.
Billboard 100, okay.
Do you want to take a stab at it?
No, I can't even begin to guess. I've never looked at that.
Yeah.
Not a problem. I hadn't looked at it until yesterday either.
What do we got?
It was Bad Blood by Neil Sedaka and Elton John.
Oh. Wow, okay, cool.
Well,
who knew? What was yours, Tanner?
I would have never guessed that song would have made it to #1.
You know? Yeah. I don't know the song well at all, so
I've heard it many times, but I would have never imagined it ever made it to #1.
Mine was "Say Say Say" by Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson.
Oh, you're young then. Oh my gosh, I remember when that song came out, and that's a great song, by the way. So I love that song.
That is a great song.
Well, "Bad Blood" will be added to the Mix It Up playlist later in the show.
Definitely.
And it's definitely worth a listen. I checked it out. It's a great tune, and I think it suits you very well.
Wow. But I am a fan of Neil Sedaka, and I am a fan of Elton John, so yeah.
Cool.
Can't really go wrong. So, Ben, if it's okay with you, I'm going to read a little bit of your bio, the summary of some of the magical things you've done, and just some information for listeners to get to know you a little bit better. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
awesome. Okay, so Ben Medina started playing guitar at the age of 7 years old, folks, following in his grandfather and his father's footsteps. He studied under the renowned Chicago blues legend, Pistol Pete, and played with many Northern Illinois and Southern Wisconsin bands since 2010. The most notable include Good Karma, the OGMC, Chico and the Man, GENO, and many others. Ben's prowess has enabled him to win 7 prestigious, is it Rami, R-A-M-I awards?
It's pronounced Rami, but yeah.
Rami. 7 prestigious Rami awards. His current projects include the Medina and Tritten Experience, the OGMC, being a hired gun in the 815 music scene, and now the touring lead guitarist in the 10,000 Maniacs, Ben Medina, everyone. Welcome to It's Music Time. We're so stoked you're here.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm humbled to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Totally. Was there anything else you wanted to add to your bio? Anything? It could be, logistical or just anecdotal.
Just to elaborate on the bands I played with in the part where it says "and many more." So I'm also like you mentioned later, I'm a hired gun for a lot of bands that need guitarists, and in fact, I'm going to be covering for. I'm going to be playing lead guitar for a country band this coming Friday for a band named Rolling Whiskey, who's a very popular country band around here. So they asked me to cover because their guitarist had a conflict. So they asked me to play. So just before this this podcast here, I was busy cramming those songs and learning them, and yeah, it's about, I don't know, it's about 80 songs or so, I think, so that I'm trying to learn just in time for Friday. So yeah.
Amazing.
That's incredible.
Is that something that over time you have learned how to adaptively cram music? I would think it's a pretty specialized skill to be able to do that.
Yeah, I've been playing professionally since 2010, and yeah, it's definitely a skill that I've acquired. So yeah, I do have a system. There's the method to my madness to learning this stuff.
Amazing.
What people, and what blew me away actually when I started playing music professionally, is that music is more of a science than it is an art. There is a system to it. There's a formula to a lot of it, and I depend a lot on what's called the Nashville number system, which 90% of rock and country songs follow that system, and it's definitely more of a science than it is an art, and that blew me away when I realized that. And when I learned that system, that allows me to quickly learn songs in a short period of time. So
isn't that amazing?
It's weird. I've always thought for the majority of my life that music was an art, but yeah, it's kind of I got to see how the sausage is made, so to speak, and you see what's behind the curtain and how these songs are put together. So
totally. And thinking about the lineage of learning music from your father and your grandfather, was that you learned music in a more artistic way, in a more organic way, and then later on were you able to look back and kind of
so my father just taught me like the basics, the basic chords and how to actually strum and form chords, and he taught me a few songs that were taught to him by his father. I never got to know my grandfather because he died when my dad was 13, but my grandfather did play in many bands in the Colorado area, many country bands, in fact. So he had a popular band in Colorado called the Hay Balers. So they toured around in the Colorado area. So yeah. So my father taught me the basics, and then from there, just what's funny is that after that, I learned by watching videos of the Maniacs play. When I got into them, when I first saw them on Saturday Night Live in 1987 or 88, around there. Can't remember the exact year, but it's around there, 87 or 88. But from there, I was hooked on the Maniacs, and I pretty much kind of expanded on my father's teachings by watching them and recording them and playing it back, and just it's weird how it's kind of come full circle. So
stunning.
For any of our contemporary listeners, when Ben talks about recording and playing things back, that would be on a VHS tape, correct?
Yes. I need to clarify that. Yes, so recording and playing back is on a for the kids there that are watching this. It's something called the VCR, and using tapes that are called VHS tapes.
Yes, well, we try to be inclusive of all of our listeners.
Yes, very much so.
So Ben, the story came out, which is, I read up a little bit on you, and it was entitled "From Stalker to Maniac," and I think it was Steve Gustafson, the bass player, who said that to the press, the bass player of the 10,000 Maniacs, and it was really incredible. I mean, it was a brief story; it wasn't super long or whatever. And you've already alluded to seeing them on Saturday Night Live for the first time on television. And then from there, just to kind of catch everyone up to speed, you become friendly or friends with the bandmates and in the 90s. And then you're on the guest list for every show. And then all of a sudden, there becomes this opening for the lead guitar player. And you go through this audition process and you get the gig. And, that is just so surreal and insane. And it feels like a movie to me. It feels, cinematic in nature. And they say you never should meet your heroes, but I feel like you would argue otherwise, Ben. And I'm wondering, what's it like to be a Maniac?
Oh man, it feels like a dream. And I don't want to wake up, and I hope nobody pinches me and wakes me up. But it is definitely a dream. It feels like a dream. It doesn't feel real still to this. I mean, I've played probably 14 shows with them. I think about 14, and it still doesn't feel real. But anyway, just to clarify what Steve said, from stalker to Maniac, for those that don't know, stalkers is a name that we give that the Maniacs gave their Uber fans, kind of like the name Deadheads for the real hardcore Grateful Dead fans are called Deadheads, and the real hardcore 10,000 Maniacs fans were called Stalkers. I'm not sure of the origin of that name. Maybe Steve could elaborate on that, but from then on, since the mid 90s, the Uber fans were called Stalkers. So yeah.
Incredible.
That's awesome. That's incredible. So tell me a little bit, Ben, just about the audition process. Like, that's what I'm curious. I mean, was it, you were the super fan, of the band, you know them personally, and, you're learning how to play their songs via VHS recordings as a teenager, and then you get this opportunity to audition. I mean, how does that work? How many other people auditioned? Like, how did this come to be?
As far as I understand, I don't know if anybody else auditioned, but I can't say with 100% certainty. But from my perspective, I think I was the only one that auditioned. But basically how it worked was that Steve, the bass player, and Dennis, the keyboard player, sent me a list of songs to play at the audition. They just sent it to me, I don't know, probably about a couple weeks in advance. And I actually drove down to Jamestown, New York, where their studios are, and met them there and set up my equipment. We went through that song list, and after the audition process was over, they told me to go, roam downtown Jamestown, maybe have a drink, and they'll call me. And what's funny is that I thought the audition process didn't go very well at all.
Oh wow.
I was pretty nervous and I made a lot of mistakes, but they did end up calling me while I was at the Lucille Ball Museum that was there in Jamestown. So that's a fun fact. Lucille Ball is from Jamestown, New York, so they have a museum there. So I was just there with my wife looking at the exhibits, and I got a call from Steve telling me to come back to the studio, and so we walked over and they asked me if I wanted the gig. So
that's incredible.
Dreams do come true.
That is incredible.
Truly legendary. What a neat progression, and just like, yeah, I bet it was a surreal moment.
It was. When they asked me if I wanted the gig, I think I zoned out completely, and luckily my wife was there to do all the listening for me and tell me later what happened, because I don't even remember what happened after that. So it was I zoned out. So yeah.
Wow.
Well, just as a fan of the band's music myself, I had the opportunity to see you perform in Maine back in late April at the Waldo Theater in Waldoboro, Maine. And yeah, was that your first time to Maine?
Oh no, that was my fourth show with the fourth.
Okay.
The Waldo, playing at the Waldo was cool, but yeah, that was only my fourth show. Yeah.
Yeah, was that your first time to Maine?
Yeah, ever. Yeah, I've never been to Maine in my life. Yeah.
Well, we hope you come back.
Oh man, I would love to be back. Yeah, I love it.
What blew me away about that performance was the music, obviously, and just the surrealness of seeing the band in such a tight space, but the production was insane. I was like, the stage setup and the lighting, and the one song that stood out to me from that performance was a really early cut, My Mother at the War. And just the amount of energy that, the band performed with was really incredible. So thank you for your service, Ben. I appreciate it.
Oh man, but a lot of the credit has to go to Dave Hone, who's our front of house engineer. He makes us sound good. And then also Scott Barton, who's our lighting engineer. Man, Scott does phenomenal work with the lighting, and Dave Hone does great work with our sound. He makes us sound good, and Scott makes us look good under those lights. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tiny theater, but it felt like it could fill an arena the way it was set up. It really did.
Oh yeah, they're professionals. They definitely know what they're doing. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. Well, I guess we'll transition. I mean, we could chat with you for days. I'm so fascinated with your story. We typically go into a section of the podcast where we talk about a deep cut, which is kind of just like a deeper question where we sort of propose something that you can riff on a little bit. So this section, we're interested in new instruments. This idea of like, okay, so you're this prodigal guitar player, you're incredibly gifted and talented and skilled, and you're living this dream life, playing with the 10,000 Maniacs, and you probably play guitar a ton, I can imagine, practicing, preparing, performing, wondering if that ever feels monotonous or if you love it the same every time you do it. And if you were given the opportunity, would you ever want to try a new instrument? Does anything ever kind of tug at you? Do you have any curiosities with other instruments, or do you play other instruments?
Well, I do play a little bit of keyboard. I played a bit of keyboard in the first band I was in, which was more of a wedding band type of thing. So I played keyboard and alternated between the guitar and the keyboard. But one instrument that I've has always eluded me was actually the bass. I've never even so much as touched a bass, let alone play one. So yeah, that's something I've always been kind of curious about. So, and to play the bass very well is a very rare skill. So it just, in my experience of playing with a lot of bass players, I mean, getting a really good bass player is like gold. So just hold on to that bass player if you can find them. So
yeah, very cool. And then the second part of this question is a little bit more ethereal, I guess. But if you could invent an instrument, and I'm talking like sci-fi, let your imagination go as wild as you want. If you could invent an instrument, what would it be, and what kind of sounds might it make?
I don't know. That's a tough one. All I can think of is maybe a guitar that can read my mind.
Whoa, I love that.
Make it play what I want it to play, what I can think of, maybe. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, maybe some kind of AI guitar of some sort.
Cool.
I think they're working on that at SpaceX.
Well, that'd be cool. I want to be a prototype tester if that's the case.
Hey, anything is possible.
We'll see if we can make that happen.
What about you, Tanner? Would you invent an instrument?
So, I was thinking about this question, and it just reminded me of this scene from this movie. I don't know if you've seen Earth Girls Are Easy. It's a 1987 comedy with Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum, and it's kind of a musical. And so basically the premise is Gina Davis is like this single lady in California, and these three aliens come to visit her, and she eventually falls in love with Jeff Goldblum. The three aliens are Jeff Goldblum, Jim Carrey, and Damon Wayans. And when they enter her house, they start playing the water glasses. And so, and I've seen performers play water glasses live before mic'd up, but then it kind of spirals into this whole montage of them playing her entire house, like food from her refrigerator, playing her dogs or cats, all these different, noises. And I was really stuck on the pet sounds. And I'm like, dogs in particular, they bark at different registers. So I'm wondering if, and maybe this already exists even, I don't know. The world is weird. What about a dog chorus? Can we somehow have some kind of, you know, some dog chorus that we could teach because they are trainable?
Hey,
and have an album that way. So
why not?
That was my thought. That's where my brain went.
I love that.
Yeah. How about you, Morgan? Did your brain go anywhere?
Well, I'm not really, nothing's cooked really, but as you all are talking, I'm like, okay, well, I love, I collect a lot of like ambient sounds. I really like ambient soundscapes. And so like papers rustling or someone making tea or the clacking of, feet or, just kind of like the rustle of fabric, just like little kind of wispy ambient things. And so what would it be like to create, and I'm sure people do this from like a digital perspective, but what would it be like if you had like some kind of stringed instrument and each string had some kind of ambient sound, and so you would play it as if you would a guitar, but then it would create this kind of like ambient soundscape chord symphonic that is probably practically not ever possible, but I think it would be very pleasing.
Sounds very interesting. Yeah. Yeah, when you said that, it's like kind of reminds me of the beginning of I think it's like a Pink Floyd song, "Money," I think, where it kind of has all that the noise,
yeah,
and stuff. Like that's what kind of reminds me of.
Right.
And then going back to Tanner's idea about animals, I like the dog idea. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm into birds. I actually have 4 parrots as pets, so I love parrots. But anyway, that reminds me that there is I think a death metal group out there that has an African gray parrot as their lead singer.
Come on, I'm obsessed with this. No way.
I forgot what the name of the group is, but it's I'm sure if you just look up death metal and African gray parrot, you'll find it.
I'm there.
The only one out there. But yeah, so that
fascinating. I love that. That blows my mind. I also, second to the ambient soundscape thing would be some kind of catalog of bird sounds. Like how cool would that be? Is like you have an instrument with like strings, and each string is a different bird sound. Recently I've been becoming obsessed with the Merlin app, where you like listen to the bird. And
I have that app.
My God, it's so cool.
Yeah, it identifies you hear a bird, you just open the app and hit record, and it'll listen and it'll tell you what bird it is.
It's amazing. We have a barred owl in our backyard, and it's like, it's so funny because the app will tell you what it actually sounds like, and then it'll tell you kind of like as if it were saying words what it would be saying. So it's like hoo 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 hoo, and then it says, and it sounds like who cooks for you. And so every night we hear this like, who cooks for you? It's really weird. Anyway, so I feel like if we were to partner with the Merlin app, we could probably create a library, and then from that we could manufacture a bunch of instruments and the dog.
$1 million idea. I love it.
Oh, this is too fun, Ben. Okay, like moving on. Here we go.
So now, for everyone knows that with this show, we have our Mix It Up playlist that accompanies every episode, and so I've contributed 4 songs, as has Morgan, as has Ben. We are also going to add the birthday song, Bad Blood by Neil Sedaka and Elton John. So Ben, we want to give you the opportunity to highlight one of your contributions. So what would you like to highlight, Ben?
I think the first song should be a song named Thank You by this new artist that my son just got me into, called Clairo, Clairo. My son introduced me to this young gal who's up and coming. I believe she's already pretty popular. I think was just on Conan the other day, or one of those late night talk shows. So she's pretty much made it. But anyway, it's a very great song. I'm really into it. It sounds very retro, which suits my tastes very well, since I'm really into the old 70s yacht rock type of stuff. That's kind of my jam, are those types of songs. But anyway, that song is very much in that vein, and that's why I chose to highlight it. So it
gorgeous.
brings back to a simpler time, I guess.
Yeah, I had heard of Claro. Actually, I hadn't heard of that song. I didn't realize she had a whole album out. I had heard another single that's actually been on main radio.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think it's called like "Sexy to Someone." I think might be the name of it.
Oh, that's that is by her. Yeah, that's one of her songs.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that on the radio.
Yeah.
Hey, very cool. There is something very kind of nostalgic and retro about her sound. Isn't that neat?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited to listen to that. Cool. What about you, Tanner? What'd you pick?
So I picked a song by a band called Love Tractor.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yep. So they're part of the Athens music scene. For anyone that knows me, they know I'm a huge REM fan. And I first discovered them by watching the documentary Athens, Georgia, Inside Out. And Love Tractor was one of the featured bands, along with REM, the B-52s, Flat Duo Jets, the DBs, Pylon. But they started out largely instrumental. And this song, Cartoon Kitties, came out in 86 or 87. And it was kind of a step forward in terms of songwriting for the band. And it's actually an ode to like early cartoons from, I think, like the 40s and 50s or something. I was reading up on it. But I've always enjoyed it. And it's just a fun song. And to my knowledge, Love Tractor actually reformed back in like 2016, I believe, and they might actually still be putting out some new material. So, yeah, if you like that, they're pretty big in that college rock music scene, and if you like music like REM or even 10,000 Maniacs, you might like Love Tractor.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, a bit of trivia. I believe the Maniacs have toured with Love Tractor a few times. So yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, very cool. I gotta check them out. I'm not familiar with that band at all.
Sure, yeah.
I chose the song Ramona by Guster. I love Guster. They're based in Maine sometimes. Adam, the lead singer, is in Maine. And they're just a really sweet sound. They have kind of this, I don't know, folk rock thing going on, but they also use some bongo drums. And so there's an interesting layer of sound there. And the song Ramona, it's just kind of like, it's kind of sauntering and like easy to listen to, but the lyrics are really interesting to me. And I have to admit, I don't know what the narrative, like what's going on in the story, because there's clearly something afoot there with this person, Ramona. But yeah, I just have a lot of nostalgia. I used to listen to it like in middle school and high school, and I really like Guster, so that's what I chose.
Guster? Is that what it
Guster, Guster. Yep, really great band to check out. They have a pretty wide following and a big, body of work. Like quite a few full-length albums.
They do. They might have 10 albums.
Yeah. They've been at it for a while. Really sweet folks. So
yeah, and they play in Maine pretty much. I want to say once a summer. They do that.
Guster by the Sea?
Guster by the Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and they did like 2 or 3 nights at Thompson's Point, which is a pretty big outdoor venue in Maine.
Yep.
Cool.
No, they're great. Definitely check them out.
It's fun.
All right, so we're rolling right along here. We're almost wrapping up, if you can believe it. But I wanted to give an opportunity for you, Ben, just to let people know where they can find you. Where online are you? What is sort of the way you share your work with the world?
The main places you can find me are Instagram and YouTube. So Instagram and YouTube, I think my handle is just B Medina guitar _guitar.
Super.
I believe the handle's the same for both. I'm also on Facebook. If you can find me on there, I accept pretty much everybody's friend requests. So, and anybody who wants to chat with me on there, I'm open to it. So,
right on. Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
Cool. All
so
right.
B Medina _guitar on YouTube and Instagram. Is that right? Okay,
yep,
great.
Right on.
All right. So we are at It's Music Time on Spotify, and then we are at It's Music Time Podcast on Instagram and YouTube. And before you go, make sure you stick around to the very end of the episode. We have an encore performance by the Medina and Tritten Experience. It's an original song called Save My Soul. Ben, we are very thankful and excited to hear it.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thank you for posting that. But if I could just elaborate real quick on what the Medina and Triton Experience is about.
Please.
So it's just a duo acoustic group with my musical partner, Dan Triton. Dan Triton is one of my best friends and pretty much a legend in the 815 music scene, 815 being the area code we're from. But yeah, I mean, he's done so much for the music community in the northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin area. He's over the past 10 years, he's worked tirelessly to unite the entire music scene around there together and just collaborate, do many collaborations, hold festivals, and all sorts of things. I can't thank him enough. And you'd have to understand what the music scene was like in the 815 scene before Dan came along, which was there was a lot of competition, backbiting, undercutting. It was a very brutal scene, and I have to credit Dan, was single-handedly uniting the scene. Wow. So yeah, I'm very grateful to him. And then, we partnered up and we have this duo called Medina Tritten Experience, and we pretty much play multiple times a week, every week, around the area. In fact, we're playing Wednesday. I'm sorry, I got my days. I'm ahead of myself. We play Wednesday over in McChesney Park, and many other dates coming up. But anyway, and I'm humbled that you're featuring our song. So thank you.
He sounds like an amazing friend and an amazing person.
Oh, he is a very amazing person. That is somebody you want to get on your podcast for
That's
sure.
what I was thinking.
Yeah, that would be
great.
Yeah,
he's a very interesting person. He has a lot to say, and he's amazing. So.
And what a beautiful thing to really be kind of a culture shifter and figuring out a way to unify the music scene. Like, I am always in awe of people that are able to do that in a way that feels not centering ego, but just kind of with the intention of bringing goodness and kind of elevating everyone along the way. Like, that is beautiful.
That is Dan Triton, what you just described. So yes.
Wow. So good. So good. Well, we can't be more delighted to have had this chat with you. I feel like there's so many things you said that I'm going to be tinkering and thinking about for a long time after, and lots of chit chats post episode with Tanner over here. But thank you so, so much, Ben. This was really such a pleasure.
Well, thank you. If you don't mind, I want to just kind of shoehorn in some more shout outs here.
Please shout out as many as you want.
One shout out I need to really give is to my son,
hey,
Tate, who also a bit of trivia. My son Tate Medina has also played with the Maniacs back in 2015. He played on stage with them. Yeah. He was only a mere 13 years old or maybe 12 years old at the time. They'd asked him to play a few songs with them on stage in Chicago, and he did. And there's actually a YouTube video of that experience. But anyway, so cool. He's gone on to have a pretty great music career himself. He's touring with a country group, or a country gal named Lola Blue. He's part of her band, and she's really up and coming. She's fantastic. They just opened up for Terry Clark, if you know who that is.
Wow.
Over in Wisconsin, and he's also forming another group called Beacon Hill. And then more shout outs to my guitar sensei, Pistol Pete, who's a Chicago legend, blues legend. He plays all over the place. His contributions to helping me out has been very, very understated, and I can't thank him enough. Wow. And then another band that's been influential to me is also Blue Steel, who's a very up and coming very popular country group around the Wisconsin and Northern Illinois area. They've been very instrumental. I played with those guys for many, many years, and they've taught me so much. They've taught me so much about the music industry and the music business. I can't thank them enough. Anyway,
Wow.
there's more shout outs, and I apologize to those that I forgot, but those are the big shout outs that I need to give. So
It's really beautiful to witness you do that. I think that sometimes an artist can, be at home in their own talents, but maybe like remembering the lineage or the co-creation or like all the many, many influences sometimes can escape us. Like it can kind of escape the conversation, and like the fact that you're taking time out to really shout out and lift up all of the kind of eldership and camaraderie and mentorship. And that's really inspiring to us. I feel like that's a bunch of what we're trying to do also on this podcast, is just really illuminate like how so much of music is a co-creation, even if it's coming through individual artists, that there's so many influences and points of learning and connection. And I feel like you said it so well.
That's well said. But yeah, I can't understate the community we have here in the 815. So I mean, it's a great community. I love this music community, and it's so wonderful.
Love it.
That's
I'd like
awesome.
to get out there someday,
Yeah.
for sure.
Ben, if there's ever, if you want us to, help plug any of those acts, just send me their contact info.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we will tag them on this episode, and try to get some eyeballs on any of the wonderful artists in the 815. We're happy to do it.
Thank you so much. That's awesome.
Thank you. And just wrapping up, again, I'm Morgan. This is Tanner. We had the pleasure of chatting with the legend Ben Medina here. This is the It's Music Time podcast. And thank you all listeners for tuning in, for being a part of this conversation, part of this community. If any listeners, if you have feedback, you want to write a review, a comment, we love that. We love hearing from you. Any questions, keeping the energy moving, feel free to reach out. And yeah, until next time, we will keep on rocking out over here and stay cooler than cool.
All right.
Bye, Ben.
Thanks, Ben. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Talk about me and rock and roll. Long-haired woman came to my door. Talk about me, says she wants to save my soul. Talk about me, says I'll make you a real man. Till that one came to my door. She don't need me, oh, save my soul. Save my soul, yeah. Save my soul, yeah. Save my lonely soul.
Yeah! All right.
The It's Music Time podcast is an independent passion project produced by Tanner Grover and Morgan Mitchell. The theme song for this podcast is by Ben Shepherd, the artist known as Yay Yay. Find him on Instagram at Yay Yay Music. Thanks for tuning in to the It's Music Time podcast. See you next time.